For men, rule number 1 is to never lead to conflict in a relationship. A man shouldn't argue with a woman at all. As soon as a quarrel starts, the man always loses. Let's say a wife and a husband are arguing. Whose side will the children be on? On their mother's side. The dog on mother's side. Cockroaches, relatives. If the wife is decent, whose side will the relatives be on? Also on her side. Everyone around will protect the woman, and he will be left alone. Neither children, nor dog, nor relatives. No one will protect a man when he argues. He will be left alone. No one needs him. Even if he asks his friends for protection, when he's quarreling, they will simply mock him. They won't protect him either. When a man is quarreling, he is completely defenseless. He has no choice. Therefore, it is absolutely unprofitable for a man to argue with a woman. When a woman becomes capricious, immediately step aside. Don't mess with her. But if a man doesn't understand this, he always makes things worse for himself. He only creates problems for himself. How should a woman and a man resolve the issue? How to make a woman listen? To hug? It doesn't always work, my dears. You know yourself. Sometimes you become capricious and nothing can be done with you at all, right? Because a man has a soft character inside and a woman has a tough one. This means that if she is offended, for how long will she be offended? For a week. She can't do anything with herself. All this may be going on for a long time. She may be offended for a long time. If a man is offended, it will immediately pass, right? It happens that men have a weak character and sometimes they take offense for a long time, but this is completely different. So it's better not to mess with a woman. When she's offended, then for a week at home it feels very bad and hard. And in such a situation, this is another problem that men should be aware of. Men should know that nothing in their apartment belongs to a man at all. He only owns the keys to the apartment, and at best he is registered there, and nothing else belongs to him there. Does a man arrange furniture in an apartment? Does he arrange it?
Yes.
A woman does. Does a man choose and glue wallpaper, choose curtains? Is it male energy? There are curtains with guns and pistols, right? No, they are with floral patterns, right? This is feminine energy. Is the bed a masculine energy?
Female.
Female. It's also with floral patterns. Wallpaper with flowers, all the dishes, everything in the apartment is feminine energy. Why is this so? Because a woman fills an apartment with her energy. If, for example, a woman is in a bad mood, a man comes in and he feels bad too. Because everything in that apartment, it all spoils his health. And he comes up to his wife and asks, "What's the matter?" She says, "Am I bothering you? Leave me alone." This is a deception, because if a woman is in a bad mood, then everything around her feels bad. She fills the entire apartment, so she cleans and washes everything there. What does she do? She fills the apartment with her energy. That's what she does. Now I have a question for women. Imagine that a friend came to your place and started cleaning and washing everything there. What will happen next? You will say, "Don't do this." You are feeling bad, and this happens because she begins to fill everything with her energy. Your husband comes and says, "Oh, how nice it is now in our apartment." And you look at him and get surprised. She cleaned up and he felt good. So she's already taking my husband away from me. And she says, "My friend, go back to your home. That's it. This is the end of our friendship." 40 men can live together in one apartment. 2 women can't. They need to divide the territory. This is where I clean and this is where you clean. If they clean the same area together, they will quarrel. And this will be for a long time, for a long time. Nothing will be restored for a very long time. It will be like this for a very long time. My sister and her childhood friend decided to stay in a hotel together. They studied at the institute together. I said, "Don't do it." They didn't stay in a hotel. They decided to rent a house for 2 to make it cheaper. I told my sister, "Don't do it, my dear. You will ruin the relationship." She didn't listen. She lived with her for 6 months, and then they became enemies for the rest of their lives, although they had been friends since childhood. But they quarreled because they began to divide the territory and fight about it. The same will happen in the case when a son brings his wife home and his mother and wife live together. Who is the senior in such a situation?
Mother.
Mother. If the wife does not obey, then everything is destroyed. Her family is collapsing because hostility begins. And the mother should be wise and give her son's wife her territory too. Let's say they have their own room where they live and her daughter-in-law cleans it. The mother doesn't go in there. She cleans up the rest of the territory. And then harmony comes. The woman knows that she has been given her territory. She's cleaning up there. Is it clear? When women divide territory among themselves, then they will have normal relationships. One is senior, the other is junior. That's it. They can live normally. But if a woman comes into the family and she doesn't want to be junior, then war begins. Maybe she doesn't want to because the mother behaves too rudely with her, treats her incorrectly. Then she rebels in her heart and cannot obey. Because a woman submits only to love. Is a woman generally humble by nature or not?
Humble.
Humble? Where have you seen humble women? Fall in? No. Attention? No. March? No, no, no. And the man? Fall in? Yes. Attention, march. 1, 2, 3. Men are humble by nature. They can be commanded. They obey. If a man is told fall in, he obeys. Is a woman humble by nature? Can she be commanded? Is it possible? If a man begins to command, will you listen to him, ladies? No, because a woman submits only to love. If they speak to her kindly, she immediately calms down and becomes humble. As soon as the man stops talking to her tenderly, all her humility immediately ends. Therefore, how can you explain to a woman if she doesn't understand something?
With love.
Affectionately. It happens that a woman is capricious. At this time, it is useless to explain something to her. But if a woman comes out of this capricious state, if you establish contact with her, start talking to her kindly, she will understand everything that you tell her. But just never change your tone. As soon as you raise your voice, she immediately tenses up. That's it. She won't listen. As long as you speak kindly, she will accept everything, understand everything. And as soon as he raises his voice a little, there will be a riot, and that's it. Therefore, in which families is the woman obedient? When a man can talk to her tenderly and kindly. When he speaks like that, a woman always becomes obedient. How should a little girl be raised? When she is capricious, don't explain anything. Just distance yourself from her, don't talk to her. As soon as she says, Mom, what's wrong? Why aren't you talking to me? When she is making contact, it's necessary to talk to her affectionately. As soon as she starts listening to you, talking gently, you can explain everything to her. She will understand everything. Is it clear how to raise a girl? If you gently tell a boy everything, will he understand? He will listen to everything, nod his head, and do everything as he wants. The boy does not understand words at all. Let's say you come up and say, I'll make you stand in the corner now. He doesn't care because he's a boy. He only understands actions. He doesn't understand words at all. Therefore, you need to immediately take him by the hand and lead him to the corner. When you take him to the corner, he will ask, Mom, where are we going? You're going to stand in the corner. Why? Because you've been naughty. I won't do it again. You have to say, either you will or you won't, you'll stand in the corner anyway. Because again, he takes you at your word, so he's fooling. Because if you say, if you won't, then go for a walk. And what will he do next? He will immediately do the same thing he did. But if you put him in the corner, show strength, courage, endurance, then he will begin to use his brain and understand that next time, if he does the same thing again, he will have to stand in the corner again. And in this case, he'll have to think about what to do next, how to live. Maybe he shouldn't be naughty anymore. He has something to lose, so to speak. If a woman wants her husband to quit drinking, she tells him, don't drink. What is happening at this time? He simply brushes it all aside, that's all. He doesn't care about all these words. He will say, okay, my dear, I won't drink. Does he tell you this honestly? No, because words never have any effect on a man. This is not his nature. You may stop talking to him. You can live separately. Depending on the seriousness of misdeeds on his part, you can make any decisions. It will all work. Not talking is an action. Will it help? With a certain effort. If you don't talk for a long time, a man goes through 3 stages. The first stage is threats. He says, if you don't talk, I'll get a divorce. If you succumb to this threat, it means that he will always use this threat in order to prevent you from attempting to change him. If you don't give in, he'll do whatever he wants, but you shouldn't talk to him. The next stage is flattering. He begins saying, oh, my darling, la la la, don't give in. The third stage is sincerity. He comes up and says, well, what is it? What's wrong? Let's talk. At this time, you can start talking. Is it clear? Remember, whenever you want to change a person, love should come first. Measures should come second. If you put measures first, and your position is tough and strong, and you behave very categorically and harshly, then you can trigger a reaction out of principle in a man. and out of principle he might find another woman. Therefore, a lesson should always take the form of some distance. It is best to keep the distance to a minimum. It means you just wash clean but don't talk to him. But sometimes the minimum distance does not work, and then you need the maximum. But these are topics for tomorrow. We will talk about cheating, betrayal, when a husband beats you, and so on. What to do. We will talk about this tomorrow. And today we are talking about responsibilities in the family, how to behave correctly. We're discussing human nature. In accordance with this nature, you will learn. So, you already understood that it is necessary to speak gently, affectionately, as a joke, that the truth should not be proven in the family. If you prove it, you will destroy the family. It is impossible to prove the truth in a family. No one will listen to you, because people come for love, not for the truth. Yesterday we talked about this.
If I stop talking, should I keep caring about him?
Yes, because if you stop caring, it's a betrayal. You keep cooking, but you are not talking. You show. I love you, but I don't agree with this attitude towards me. The woman wants to take revenge on him. You bastard, I won't cook for you. I won't do anything. I wish you were dead. This doesn't help. It gives the opposite result. He defends himself even more, becomes angry, freaks out. And then he acts out of principle and finds another woman. And you give your man to another woman in this way. In order not to do this, you need to understand how everything works. Let's say you're angry. Just wait, pray, don't do anything. Just wait. When the psyche calms down, you can teach him a lesson. Punish him and don't talk. And at the same time, take good care of him. When you show kindness towards your husband, his conscience immediately comes into play. He sees that his wife is good, but she isn't talking. Why isn't she talking? Because I'm an idiot. Because I treated her wrong, and she still cares even though I'm a jerk. That means she loves me. This is how he will think. Is it clear? The main mistake of all people on earth in their personal lives is that they do not understand that love means selfless activity. You always serve a loved one, you always give your life to them. This is love. If you want to change him, then first give love to him and then discipline him, and then he will begin to change. There is no other way to change him. But love means approaching a person, having intimate conversation. I've already said how to approach a man. You need to nod to him, saying, I obey you. Show him your submission. This is a close relationship with a man. If you don't submit, there won't be close relationships. Close relationship with a woman means kind conversation, affectionate behavior. A close relationship with a woman means fondness. A man should behave affectionately with her, my darling. This is asceticism practice. It is always very difficult for a man to behave affectionately with a woman because by nature he is not affectionate. It's hard for him. But if he forces himself, endeavors, then he achieves love. And if a woman nods kindly, agrees with everything, and all this is also very difficult for her, but if she does this, she achieves the love of a man. You should always strive for love. You shouldn't wait. When you love me, then we'll talk. It must be achieved. Then love comes. It doesn't depend on you. It doesn't care. This is divine energy. If you behave correctly, love comes. If you don't, it doesn't come. How to complete this road? Care and discipline. There are two extremes here. There are women who take care easily, and they will remain silent, agree more easily, and do something for a loved one. It is very difficult for them to discipline a man. What does this mean? This means that they are attracted to a man. They love him, they are attracted to him. A woman is strongly drawn to a man. The attraction is very strong. And she cannot change him because she wants to be close to him. Even if he got insolent, it's okay. She will endure. And then what happens to such women? They are cruelly abandoned, cruelly. The man becomes a monster. He begins to beat and mock her because she makes him a monster. When she only serves, only cares, and does not discipline her man, he turns into an arrogant monster who is simply ready to kill her. She means nothing to him. He doesn't love her at all, and he has never needed her. Second scenario, she doesn't love the man, but he loves her. She constantly acts capriciously, is always unsatisfied, always angry, always pestering, nitpicking him. She cooks, cleans, and washes for him grudgingly. She takes care of him with reluctance. So she's constantly trying to discipline him and turns him into a doormat. If he loves her, he bears it. Then she neglects him more and more, more and more. And then comes the moment when she falls for someone else and leaves him. One option, she's always disciplining him, and the other option, always indulging him. Both options lead to the destruction of the family. Or the man feels that she's constantly nagging and nagging him. He thinks enough already and finds someone else. Why does she nag him? Because she feels no love from him and therefore suffers and becomes angry. Why does she take care of him? Because she feels love and keeps demeaning herself, and he starts getting insolent. So where is the truth?
In balance.
Balance means meetings and partings. It's very important to understand how love works. Balance means not being angry at a person and smiling. It's about meetings and partings. Love always means kindness. There is no malice in love. If you get angry at a close person, there's no love in that. Meetings and partings. When you take care, it's a meeting. You're closer to the person. When he starts getting insolent, then it's a parting. You tell him and yourself that you do not agree to such a relationship. How does a man discipline a woman? He becomes unapproachable, treats her kindly, brings money, fulfills all his duties, but keeps his distance with her. If he used to talk gently and affectionately to her, then she realizes that she's losing something. Gradually, she first gets offended by his reserved behavior, then starts to ingratiate herself, and then becomes more sincere. Then you can very kindly explain to her what she shouldn't do. When a close person is ready to listen to you, don't offend them. Don't express your dissatisfaction at them. I told you so. I was waiting for this moment. After this, they will never get close to you again or listen to you if you misuse this moment when they are ready to change. You'll lose the chance to explain anything to the person at all. So you need to say very kindly and carefully, this is not how it should be done. And this doesn't mean that they will change immediately. Maybe you'll need to do this 5 more times. Distance yourself. Wait until they're ready to listen, and then repeat the same thing. In time, they will begin to understand that they should behave differently. Let's say the man drinks. You must take care of him, calmly process this problem in your heart. You need to overcome your fate, and then correct him. If you haven't overcome your fate, if you're angry at him, then you can't help him. But if you've defeated your fate, you can stop talking to him and take care of him. And when he wants to change, you need to understand 2 things. Drinking isn't just a habit. Let's say he quits drinking. What next? He might have a stroke, a heart attack, or start womanizing. Alcoholism means the energy he can't handle. If you want him to stop drinking, don't just say, don't drink. Start going to the swimming pool with him. Alcoholism begins when one lacks the energy of water. You need to go swimming, do static exercises, teach him, and then you can heal him. And you must also be able to do this yourself, because if you can't, then he won't be able to either.
What if my husband smokes?
Smoking means dynamic tension. He needs prolonged, continuous movement. Go for a walk and take him by the hand to the park. Teach him, get him used to walking. If he smokes, he needs to engage in prolonged, continuous movement. Let's listen to a song, a man singing about a woman. The song hints at how a woman should behave. If you want a man to grow alongside you, don't act haughty in front of him. Become gentle, affectionate, and vulnerable, and he will become strong. That's the rule. Such rules sometimes appear in songs. We need to study them, try to understand them. What questions do you have about the topics we discussed today?
Can I ask a question about asceticism practices?
My dears, with the questions not related to the lecture, come after the lecture. Now ask questions related to the lecture.
What about dealing with addictions?
She did the same thing in her past life. Tomorrow we will be overcoming challenges of family life. We'll study what needs to be done for that. We'll learn what prayer is. How to help a close person. How to accept them. All stages of overcoming fate will be covered tomorrow.
If the man is weaker than the woman, can she be happy?
That's a good question. It's about today's topic. It's very important for you to gain knowledge in this case. There is such a thing as energy levels of people. The first rule, people of the same energy level always meet. People of different energy levels never do. And here it's crucial to understand what a woman with strong energy looks like. She possesses maximum energetic strength. What does she look like? She has a very developed external energy layer. She is very gentle, affectionate, soft, and appears vulnerable. She is not weak, she is very strong and can dominate any man, but she appears vulnerable. When a man has strong energy, he appears strong. He is strong-willed, determined, patient, and responsible. If a woman's energy becomes 30% lower, her external energy layer weakens. As a result, she doesn't seem so vulnerable anymore. Her speech becomes harsher, she behaves more categorically. She can't manage household chores because they require a lot of energy from the external energy layer, which she lacks. As a result, she prefers being at work rather than at home because she is energetically weak. She doesn't perform asceticism practice, doesn't do good deeds, doesn't pray, doesn't boost her energy. Such a woman ends up with a weak man. When a man's external energy layer weakens, he becomes sensitive, vulnerable, lazy. Because his external energy layer is weakened and his inner energy is more active, he becomes compliant, irresponsible. If a woman's external energy layer weakens, she becomes tough, rigid, not because she's more like a man. She says she's more like a man, he's more like a woman. No, they're just both weaker. When a person starts working on themselves, physically, spiritually, socially developing, their energy increases and the woman becomes gentle, affectionate, kind, while the man becomes strong, influential, and brave. Let's move on. Imagine a scenario where the woman's external energy layer is barely functioning and the man's external energy layer isn't functioning at all. Do you think such a woman and man can live together?
No, they can't.
They can't live together at all. If a woman's external energy layer isn't functioning, the man can't deal with her. And if the man's external energy layer is weak, the same thing happens. So what happens? Women live with women and men with men. This means that their external energy layer has atrophied from an incorrect lifestyle. Such women cannot stand men anymore. And men become such that they cannot stand women. Men live with men and women with women. All this does not mean different types of people, as is now being portrayed. It means that people are just living incorrectly. They simply lack the energy for a proper life. So boost your energy. Let's say if you've switched roles in the family, it means you both have your energy levels 30% lower. You need to start developing. When you develop, the man will become manly. The woman will become gentle and affectionate, and everything will be fine. And don't think, I'm good, I'm so right, and he's just a weak man. Because when a woman is weak, she thinks, it's okay, I'm a business lady. It's normal for a woman to be strong. And why am I strong? Because he is weak. No, you're strong because you too are weak. You know how a strong woman solves problems? She resolves all issues without a fight. She can easily negotiate with everyone. She behaves gently and succeeds in life because she is a strong woman. A weak woman starts to throw tantrums, gets angry, quarrels. How does a strong man solve problems?
With a fight?
Without a fight. Simply, he has great inner strength, he just looks, and you have no choice. There's no sense in arguing, he's as firm as a rock. Therefore, my dears, if you want a good husband, become a strong woman yourself. If you want a good wife, become a strong man yourself.
Should I provide financial support or not?
Your level is such that you're struggling financially, you're just surviving. What to do? Work on yourselves together. You can't change your level overnight. It takes 2 to 3 years for a person to change their energy level as a result of changing their lifestyle. Help out, work, and then gradually the men will become strong and you won't need to work anymore. You'll be having children, raising them.
What if working is easier?
That means the woman doesn't want to change. If it's easier for her to just work in an office and do nothing at home, and it's easier for the man to stay home and cook, then nobody will start to change. If a woman starts working on herself, she no longer wants to work so much, but she wants to cook, do laundry. Her feminine energies get activated. When a man wants to change, his masculine energies get activated. He thinks, I've been home too long, it's time to go out and work, show myself off. But you need to start with yourself. If a person starts changing themselves, their close one also begins to change. That's the law. It happens through inspiration. The sun rises, all shadows disappear. You ask, what if the sun has risen, but it's still dark around? And I say, that doesn't happen, my dears. The sun rises and everything is enlightened around. Once the sun of your strength rises, the man will change too. The girl becomes more beautiful and the man becomes what? Manly. Or he relaxes next to her and turns into a spineless man. Will the woman like this? No. Then she immediately distances herself from him. He starts to man up, to strive. A woman's beauty stimulates a man to be strong. If the wife is beautiful, how does the man behave? He's trying to be worthy, so he'll become strong. If the man is strong, the woman behaves affectionately and tenderly with him, tries to please him, wants to be worthy, doesn't want to lose such a man. Always start with yourself.
Who should raise a boy? Mother or father?
Boys should always be raised by the father. You know how it goes? The mother always ends up taking care of the children. What is upbringing? Upbringing means they are brought up with principles. When they start behaving badly, the mother steps away, the father steps in. The father talks to them, while the mother lives with them, interacts with them.
And if it's a daughter?
If it's a daughter, then the mother raises her. How to raise a daughter so she gets married? For this, dad needs to always behave gently and tenderly with her. The father should not discipline the daughter. If she starts to misbehave, the father needs to step away. Then the mother comes in and says, "Sweetheart, why are you behaving like this?" and starts talking to her in a womanly way. But if the father raises the daughter, what does the daughter feel? She feels that men are mean people. She tunes into the man's external energy layer too much. And she won't have the desire to get married because she'll be afraid of men. She will react to men not with her beauty, but with fear, and she will end up alone. But if the father is always gentle with his daughter, then when she sees a man, she'll remember her father and immediately blushes. She feels the man's internal energy, and then he will want to marry her. Similarly, when the mother starts to punish her son, how will that man behave with women in the future? He starts fighting with his mother first, trying to be stronger than her. And then, when he sees his girlfriend, he also tries to be stronger than her. He begins to oppress and dominate her, and ends up alone as a result, because women don't like this behavior. A woman won't live with him. If you are raising your son alone, there are familial relationships, there are spiritual relationships, and moral ones. You have to understand that people don't know this. If, say, you've lost your husband, he's not living with you for some reason, so you need to involve moral relationships in your life. Then in this moral environment, there will be men who will help your child. It will be like a family. There is a narrow concept of a family, and there is the extended one. In ancient cultures, in the extended family, if there was no father, the grandfather could raise a child, or the brothers. The boy would grow up in a large family, but nowadays large families are a rare thing. So, then a moral family is needed. This means there are spiritual programs, there are mentors, and elderly men who can take care of your family in general. Is that clear? In modern culture, the roles of mother and father are often replaced by spiritual leaders, spiritual people. There should be a senior lady and a senior spiritual mentor, so that you can turn to them for the help that parents give to children. Help can also be spiritual. But if a person does not have an expanded consciousness, has no spiritual or social interaction, just lives in their narrow circle, then a child, say a boy, growing up alone, he won't know how to treat a woman gently and affectionately. He will be rough, and he will constantly fight and battle with women because it takes a lot of energy for a mother to raise a son, and she has to constantly battle with him. A woman should know that if she has a son, whenever he does something wrong, she should keep her distance and start crying. "I can't handle you. You're strong. I'm weak." And he will immediately start to act like a man. He will respond immediately and say, "No, Mom, you are handling it. I'm listening to you now." If you, as a woman, show weakness, a man immediately starts to become responsible, even if he's just a little boy. If you try to defeat him, start to hit him, punish him, then he will turn into a sadist. When a mother disciplines her child very harshly, such a child grows up to be a sadist. He starts to abuse women, cornering them. He seeks revenge. When a woman becomes strong, she doesn't spend time at home. When a woman becomes strong, she becomes socially hyperactive. She starts attending all the temples, all the spiritual services, all the lectures. She starts socializing with friends, taking care of everyone, helping everyone. She's hyperactive. She's everywhere, basically. In the city, wherever you look, you see her everywhere.
How does she make money?
That's how she makes a living. If a woman is strong, she earns through her connections, her relationships. She can find herself a good job. You know, for a strong woman, finding a good job is a piece of cake. She has so many acquaintances, so many connections. She calls here, she calls there, she complains. Everyone sympathizes with her and she gets a job, that's all. She doesn't need to make an effort to find a job. Say, she works at work, she smiles at everyone, is happy to see everyone, flirts a little, takes care of everyone. She keeps a very active approach. If a woman is married and has children, she goes around like cluck cluck. I mean, like a hen that laid an egg, what does she look like? She just sits, doesn't run around cluck cluck. If the hen doesn't lay eggs, what does she do? She interferes everywhere, rushes around like crazy. But once she's married, that's all. She stays at home taking care of the children and the husband. She doesn't interfere anywhere. She's not interested in anything else, just stays at home. Until she's married, she goes everywhere and finds herself a husband. The more she's active, happy with everyone, loves everyone, the sooner she'll be noticed by a man.
Good evening, Dr. Torsunov. I just want to say a big thank you for your lectures, for your knowledge. I've been listening to you for, well, almost 15 years. I'm very grateful to you for entering my life. Your lectures truly help many people. I just want to say a big thank you.
Following the sun means following God. It also means following the daily routine because one should live according to the sun's movement. If one lives by the solar hours, then the world becomes even brighter. So follow God, even though this path is unknown. Everyone follows their desires in life. The Vedas compare God to the sun, and they compare the soul to the spark of the sun. When a person is busy with their own cares, their own affairs, and doesn't want to help or serve anyone, they fade away. They fly the path of their fate like a spark flies from the sun. If they follow their desires and their fate, they're extinguished. To become happy, one must choose another path, the unknown one. All the sun's rays come out from the sun and fade away, that's all. But this path is unknown. On this path, when you turn around and start following the sun, you start shining, you become a bright spark. Because a human is a rational being, one can choose not to follow their own desires, but start following the desires of God. This means living by conscience. It means doing not what you want, but what you have to. Thus a person turns around and starts to follow the sun. One gets replenished with this spiritual power and their life changes. The person takes the road of goodness. The road of goodness is not the road that all people go by. You start listening to lectures and no one understands you. Everyone says, it's all nonsense. It's some kind of sect. Live like everyone else. Just enjoy yourself. Why are you worrying? The road of goodness is a very rare path. It brings happiness, but it is understood by few. When people choose the path of goodness, they gradually attain the highest happiness. They become completely different people, not like everyone else. They begin to feel nature intensely, to feel people's kindness deeply, to feel God profoundly, and they become in a way like children, although they are adults. They become as happy and joyful as children, as if they had rediscovered their childhood, if they walk the path of goodness. That is, a person's entire life changes, like before and after, if the person embarks on the right path. And this young woman just mentioned that. She started listening to the lectures, and her life began to change. Things gradually started to improve. Happiness, health, everything is gradually making way into her life. Our next topic of discussion will be how a person's duties affect their life, their relationships. What are duties and why are they necessary? Yesterday we said that the first and the most important duty is respect. If you treat a person wrong, look at them wrong, talk to them incorrectly, then whether you comply with all your other duties in life or not does not matter. Imagine the following scenario. A man has worked his whole life to support his wife, helped her, cared for her, has been faithful, never cheated. The only thing he didn't do was that he never spoke kind words to her, never showed tenderness. And there's another man who's never cared, never helped, has never been faithful to her, hasn't given her children, has literally done nothing for her. But he has just met the wife and is speaking very tenderly and gently with her. Who do you think this woman will choose? The first one, who has given her his whole life, or the second, who is just speaking tenderly and gently with her? Raise your hand if you think she will choose the first one. My friends, you are mistaken, because you've never been in a situation where a man does everything and doesn't talk to you gently. When a man is just a bit rough and detached, you have simply never experienced this. And who among you knows how it is? Raise your hand. Whose husband is like this? A man does everything, takes care of you, but there are no tender words. Do you feel the danger of your situation? What if you meet a man who speaks tenderly and gently with you? Would you just leave your husband and go to him? Do you understand what I mean? No? Well, I'm telling you, it will happen in an instant. You won't even realize what's happening. If your husband doesn't speak to you gently, tenderly, and some other man does, your psyche will immediately gravitate towards him, and you'll just fall in love and forget about your husband. That's it. You see how this force works? This force is called respect. This force is called respect, and that's why respect is the most important thing in life. Imagine a wife that takes care of the man, washes his clothes, cleans the house, bears children, raises them, and behaves correctly with her husband. But she does not treat him with respect, doesn't say, "Yes, my dear," but looks at him with disdain. And there is another woman who has done nothing for him, but who looks at him with respect. Which one will he choose? The second. And he will leave his wife for her, and the wife will be left with nothing. She invested her energy, her life, but all of that just didn't reach him. It was not taken in, because everything you do for a loved one only gets through to them through respect. Therefore, if you fail to learn how to respect a woman, no matter what you do for her, it will not be taken in by her. She won't appreciate any of it. Likewise, no matter what a woman does for a man, if she doesn't respect him, he will not appreciate it and won't take it in either. So don't be surprised if a man leaves you, despite all your service, and goes to another woman who hasn't done anything for him at all. Don't be surprised. It means there was no respect in the relationship. So, respect is the most important duty. Without it, everything else loses its meaning. Now let's talk about other duties. They also make sense. For instance, a woman cooks for her husband with love. What does this give her? We're not just talking about some feelings or emotions, but about practical things that affect a person's life directly. She just cooks for her husband with love. What's the result? If she cooks for him with love, she wins her husband's heart, because the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. You've all been told this 1,000 times, but you still don't fully realize it. The more often she cooks for him with love, the closer to her he becomes. For example, you think, "My husband seems distant." Are you cooking for him with love? No, that's why. If you fed him with love and he enjoyed eating with you, then he would start to draw closer to you. This one time my wife came up to me and said, "I am thankful for having you in my life." Do you know how I responded? I told her, "Thank you for cooking for me." And then I added that I will be eating her food forever. Funny? But it's true. If a woman is thankful to a man for being there, it means she cooks well for him. Because a man is very rough on the outside, his life is hard, but through food, he easily feels love. Love penetrates him through the food. That's how it happens. Let me give you an example. Suppose you're a very busy businesswoman and you love to cook. You've prepared everything perfectly, but you have no time to serve your husband the food because you need to go to work. You're on a tight schedule. So you hire a woman who will iron the clothes and serve food to your husband. And for some time, say several months, she serves food to your husband, takes care of him. You cook, set everything up, everything is ready, but she serves him the food. I have a question for you. Whom will the husband love more?
The one who serves the food.
The one who serves the food, that's who he loves. Another example, you cooked very tasty food for the dog, but your daughter fed the dog. Later, when you see the dog, it looks at you and growls, but when it sees your daughter, it wags its tail, runs up to her all happy. You think, "I earned the money for you, cooked this food, and my daughter just fed you. Why don't you wag your tail at me?" Because that's how the world works. The one who feeds gets the tail wag. So let your maid chop and cook, but you should serve the food to your husband. Let her wash and dry the laundry, but you should iron it. You make the bed. Not the maid, you should make the bed yourself. And don't ask him to make the bed, you do it yourself. Let someone else do the laundry, but you make the bed for your husband. The one who makes the bed, that's whom he loves. The one who dresses him, that's whom he loves. The one who serves him food, that's whom he loves. Do you see why a woman needs to fulfill her duties? She simply ties her husband to herself that way, makes him love her. What advantages does a woman have in a married life? She has advantages. She can do something for her husband with love, because she takes close care of him like that, and no other woman has the right to do that. Does any other woman have the right to say she takes such close care of him too? No. What's a woman's disadvantage of being in a marriage? There's an advantage, but there's also a disadvantage. What's her disadvantage? The disadvantage is that she ages while all the other girls around her stay young.
What can she do?
Make use of the advantages. And there's something else she can do too. Women, remember this. Even if you behave tenderly and gently, serve him the food yourselves, take care of your husband, when you get a little older, he will still leave you for a younger one. How to go on now? I will continue telling you about it.
But you didn't leave.
Now, how am I different from your husband? It's good that you asked that question. But you didn't leave. How am I different? Many women listen to the lectures. I travel around a lot to give lectures. Everyone loves me because a senior authority figure for a woman is everything. Everyone loves me. Why am I still with my wife? Why haven't I left? Because I have an altar at home, and my wife worships God at home, and I see that. And when I see other beautiful women, I remember my chaste and pure wife, and I think she is better than anyone else. Because when a wife worships God, she activates the conscience in her husband's heart, and he starts to see her purity and is inspired by it. When a woman worships God at home, it's impossible to leave her, because conscience lives constantly in the house. And when a man looks at young women, his conscience doesn't let him cheat. It's the only thing that can save women from younger women who might even marry someone 15 or 20 years older just because that someone is a good person. There's this joke. 2 bricks are flying, and one says, "I'm worried." The other says, "Don't worry, as long as the person is good." Women don't care how much older someone is as long as they are a good person. They'll tear him out of the family. He'll leave you with your children and all your relatives because he's a very good person. And you can only protect your very good person with the help of God. Therefore, those women who do not serve God in their family, do not worship Him, do not pray, will never be able to keep their family together. Now I will play you a song. This song was written 5,000 years ago. It consists of praises to God. It's an ancient Vedic prayer. I have a question. Does the girl have a pure voice? Do you feel that she is faithful? Yes? What do you think? Will her husband leave her or not? That was my wife singing. Beautiful, isn't it? She worships God so sincerely, prays, blesses the food, and lives in spiritual purity. When I remember her, I have such a pure memory of her, and such memories prevent anyone from ever leaving. Therefore, the only thing that can protect you women is your prayer. If you want your child to always love you, read prayers in front of them. I played a song yesterday, "You Read Prayers to Me." It's a child remembering their mother because she showed them her purity, her desire to pray. God gave women an innate inclination towards Himself. Men do not feel God the way women do. And why did God give women the ability to feel Him? So that she could keep her family intact, prevent her husband from leaving, from chasing after other women. When he starts to cheat, he's on a path to hell. To prevent the husband from cheating, to avoid the children becoming miserable for life because their home is broken. When people create a family, whom do they make a home for? For whom do birds weave a nest? For themselves? For whom then? For the chicks. Similarly, you also weave your nest for your chicks. Then you tear it apart saying, "I couldn't live with him." What does it have to do with you? You wove everything for the chicks, so live for the chicks, not for yourself. Therefore, only when God is in the family does He give you this deep understanding. What is the family created for? For the children. How to live together, how to make sure the husband doesn't leave. You need to show your husband your purity by worshiping God. When a woman serves God, her pure, bright essence comes forth, and his love for her is rekindled. Because, as I said yesterday, love is energy, the connection of the divine in the woman with the divine in the man. And the divine in the man will never arise without the divine in the woman. A man himself will not go to God in the family unless his wife drags him by the ears. Understand that it is the woman who revives purity in the family. And if you don't pray at the altar, if you don't bless the food, if you don't give your husband blessed food, if you don't clean the apartment not for yourself, but for God so that He may rejoice, if there is an altar, then God is the master in your home. And if God is the master, not you, and you do everything for Him, then God will not let your husband leave. Do you get it? Conscience will ignite in your husband's heart. God is the conscience. It will ignite in his heart, and he will not be able to leave. Although all men on earth always like younger and more beautiful women, all of them, always. And even if a man is 70, he still prefers young and beautiful women over his aging wife. Even if he's 70 years old, it doesn't matter. Therefore, women must know that if a man has conscience in his heart, he will always love his wife, even if she is older, because God will reveal to him the purity of his wife from within his heart. And through this purity, her husband will stay with her and continue to live with her. That's the only way to preserve a family. And if you didn't do this, and your husband left, and you say, "I was unlucky with the person," you're wrong. Any other person would have left too. Usually, after 10-15 years, the family ceases to exist, if during this time the woman didn't start worshiping God. And if she started worshiping God too late, then she probably also missed her chance. Those who are too late are too late. That can happen too. She failed to awaken his conscience at the moment when it was necessary, and he already fell in love with another. The ship has sailed.
What if it's the other way around? If the man is more spiritual?
When the woman is the one who leaves, right? Yes, if the man is spiritual, the woman might leave. She might not have a conscience, that can happen. But the reason why she leaves is very simple, because he does not speak to her tenderly, gently. A woman doesn't need much to stay with a man. She just needs him to talk to her tenderly, gently, and fulfill his duties as a man. Each duty has a deep esoteric meaning. So, when a woman is ironing clothes for a man, what is she doing? She's protecting his life. Do you know that there are two types of energy in general? There is the hidden energy and there is the manifested energy. Who possesses the hidden energy? The woman. They don't even know what they have. It's the hidden energy, a secret. There is this joke about the elusive cowboy Joe. Why is he elusive? Because he has a secret. Do you know what his secret is? Nobody needs him. That's why he's elusive. If somebody needed him, he'd not be so elusive. So he roams the prairies freely because nobody is interested in him. So my friends, a woman possesses energy that affects everyone, and a woman has two overwhelming powers. One power is to bless, the other is to curse. Overwhelming powers. Only God is above these forces. Therefore, dealing with women is very dangerous. For instance, if a man leaves his wife, can she do something to him? He says, I'm taking all the apartments, cars, everything. Can she do something? She just thinks, you will pay for this. And what happens next? Everything in his life starts to fall apart. Why? Because from the perspective of the higher powers, female energy and male energy are absolutely equal in strength. In the outside world, it seems like the man does everything. He has everything. He's so rich, influential. And the woman, it seems, has nothing, is neither rich nor influential. But that's just the exterior. Women don't have external power. It's harder for them to work, to earn money, harder to achieve something on their own, right? But God gave her a big inner power that can be activated at her wish. So, for instance, if a girl wants to get married, does she need to run after men, conquer them? What does she need to do? She just needs to have purity. If she is pure, it is enough for her to simply give a man a look as if saying, you will be my husband, and he will just go along with it. Does that happen or not? There are such women who can point at any unmarried man like that, as if saying, you will be my husband, and he becomes her husband. There are such women. Do you know about this or not? They live on higher planets. They leave behind a veil of scent that is several miles long, and if any male creature comes across it, it immediately faints from love. A woman just looks at him, and he immediately faints. Such is the power of these divine women who live in the heavens. So, the greater a woman's power, the stronger her influence over a man. And when she irons his clothes, she protects his life, because his life belongs to her children. And God has given her such power that if she just irons her husband's clothes, let alone with prayer, as long as he wears those clothes, nobody can harm him. She gives him protection. When she serves him food, she fills him with health and love with her power. He can't get away from her, he will always be connected to her. But if she gives him fast food, not her own cooking, not made with her own hand, then he will be attached to fast food. And when he feels bad, he won't come to you, he'll head to McDonald's. He will go where he was taken care of. Here's an example. One time due to tension, my sleep got disrupted. I am a very light sleeper. I couldn't sleep, tried this and that, tried everything really. My wife found out I couldn't sleep. I didn't tell her, she just knew. She comes in, sees I can't sleep, and says, you'll sleep now. I ask, what are you going to do? She says, doesn't matter. Brings me a glass of warm water. I say, I've already drunk medicinal herbs. Why did you bring me water? She says, drink. I drink the water and immediately fall asleep. What do you think she did? She just prayed and said, this is so that my husband can sleep. Feminine energy entered the water. I drank it and it hit me instantly. And then I realized how powerful it is. Because I couldn't sleep at all. Can you imagine? And this power in women works only for their loved ones. She can't do this for everyone. Her power only affects those she loves. This is how she protects her children, protects her husband. With this power of hers is called the energy of influence. But this energy of influence is always transmitted through actions that are called a woman's family duties. She doesn't know how powerful these actions are. She is not aware that she is doing it. When a woman cleans the house, she cleanses the sins from the thoughts of everyone living there, provided she is thinking of God while cleaning and not just making it look nice for herself, but to please God. By doing so, everyone in the house will have very decent, pure thoughts. She protects her husband from cursing, from malice, from various foolish things, by simply cleaning with the thoughts of God. And then the man of the house thinks pure, good thoughts. His character changes, his mood changes. When he lives in this purity, this feminine purity, he doesn't know this, it all happens subconsciously. He can't connect the dots. But the woman must know just how powerful her duties are. They possess such strength. If a man earns money, he must do something for God. Maybe take a little money to the temple, or feed some homeless children. Just a little, not much is needed. It's called blessed money, and all the money he has earned becomes blessed in a way. This blessed money brings luck to the family. He brings this money home, gives it to the wife, and it brings luck that way. Everything associated with it will bring kindness to the family. Let's say they bought a car with that money, it won't get into an accident. Such a car will not bring suffering to the family. And even if due to ill fate it must be stolen, you will nonetheless get it back. Even if a property is taken by someone, it will still return to you, because this property is blessed too. It's connected to God and therefore it has special protection. That's why every man in the family should purify his money. Purifying money means giving something back to God. You see, I am telling you secret esoteric things. These things are clear as day to people who practice this, but for everyone else, it's very difficult to grasp. You see how the realization hit him. He hid his money under a big blanket. When he felt God, he began to give it away. Generosity appeared in his heart. That's how the energy of God works. And when you give to God, do something for God, then the money you earned, you need money, right? Without money, you can't eat or live, right? Nor can you provide for your children. Without money, no one can survive in this world. It's necessary. But if you've blessed and purified it, then everything that remains with you possesses special power. There's a story about the purity of money. It's an ancient Vedic story. There was a prostitute who began to pray. She purified herself and realized that she had been earning her money in a very bad way. She didn't need that money, didn't want to live on it. She had a lot of money. She brought it to the temple and told the priest, "Buy food for the monks with this money." He looked at the money. He was clairvoyant. And he said, "How did you earn it?" She said, "I earned it through prostitution." Then he said, "I will not take this money from you, because all my monks will lose their seed and become befouled by this money. They will start thinking about women. This money will destroy my monastery. Go take your money somewhere else." She took the money and went to the bank of a holy river to pray until she died, because she realized that nobody needed her. So she just wanted to die, and she began to pray. A few weeks passed, and she neither ate nor drank anything during that time. She was skin and bones, and she was ready to leave this body. In a dream, the Lord came to her and said, "Go to that priest. He will take your money now. I will tell him about it." And she came, barely alive, like a skeleton covered with skin. And the priest said, "Yes, I will take your money, because the Lord came to me in the night and said, 'Take her money, and I will protect your monks.'" He took the money and she came back to life and was very happy. She went on to rebuild her life. The priest prepared a great feast for his monks and gave them all food. But some monks just ate because one must sustain themselves. And others indulged in the food and overate. Those who overate all lost their seed and began to get attached to women. But nothing happened to those who ate just a little. So they came to the priest and asked, "What did you give us?" He says, "Well, a prostitute brought in some money." They said, "Why did you punish us like that? For what?" And he told them the whole story. Then they began to turn to the Lord and started praying and asking, "Why did you promise to protect us and didn't?" The Lord came to all the monks who had lost their seed in a dream and said, "I protected everyone who fulfills their duties. You monks should not overeat. You came to the feast, ate as much as you needed, and that was it, because you've chosen a life of abstention. You should not indulge in food. With those monks who did not overeat, I showed my power, and this money did not affect them. But with those who did not fulfill their duties, I punished them by letting the money affect them." So this story shows that money has power. All money looks the same on the outside, but all money has a different power. And the power of money is cleansed through selflessness, through serving God. If a person uses part of every paycheck to do something good, then the money is cleansed. A man cleanses his wife's perception of him because the money a man earns is a power on which the woman depends. One man lost his wife, she left for another man. He took care of her all his life, he earned well and helped her a lot, but he did not speak tenderly to her, and she just felt unloved and left for another man. But the other man did not marry her, just enjoyed life with her. She did not return to her husband and began to live separately. And the husband kept fully supporting her. He earned and provided everything she needed in life. And she continued to see the man who did not care for her and just enjoyed her, because he was tender and affectionate with her. The husband came to me and said, "I want to get my wife back. What should I do?" I said, "Stop giving her money." Now, ladies, a question for you. Why do you think I said that? What power lies in a man's money and how does it operate? A woman depends on this power. She becomes dependent. She gets attached, becomes subordinate to this power. And what happened? He simply stopped giving her money, and the other man did not start giving her money. As a result, where did she go? Back home. That's how it all turned out. And what would you do, ladies, if your husband supported you all the time, but did not speak tenderly? You would fall in love with another man and start seeing him. But he wouldn't feed you, wouldn't support you, would just enjoy your body. But your husband used to feed you, and then one day he stopped giving you money. And when you asked him why he wasn't giving you money, he would say, "Come back home, then there will be money." What would she do next?
She would go to work.
Okay, she would go to work. That's an assumption. Wonderful, ladies. Let's do a test. Ladies, imagine a man fully supports you, satisfies all your desires, but he doesn't know how to communicate with you. You can teach him if you want. So, having realized which man you need, you return to this man and teach him how to treat you properly. That's one option. And the second option, you go to work yourself. Raise your hand who would go to work and not return to their husband. You probably did just that, hence you're raising your hand. Only one hand raised. And who would go back? Raise your hand. See how many sensible women. Imagine how foolish it is to go to work if there's a man who supports you.
To prove something.
Well, let her prove it. Work hard and see what life is like. The husband is waiting, ready to forgive everything. But he won't give money anymore, because Dr. Torsunov forbade it. Otherwise, he would give it to her because he loves his wife.
She's probably foolish.
All women are foolish. There's no difference. All women are the same. A woman lives by her heart. She doesn't engage logic in life. She feels everything with her heart. And a man lives by logic. Therefore, men are smart and women are foolish. But a woman has purity. It is this purity that leads a woman through life. Every person has a certain dependency. A man may not love his wife, but he depends on the food she cooks. If she feeds him with love, even if he loves another woman who doesn't feed him with love, he won't go to her. He will return to his wife because the food will pull him back. If she really feeds him with love, he can't leave because through the food, a man feels calmness, kindness, a sort of grace. It's like the inner energy of a woman. In the same way, a woman is bound to a man through money. Another example. I've already told you about this today. A woman turned to me because she couldn't get married. I began to explore her life situation. It turned out she had been married to a very wealthy man. And when he left her, he said, "I will give you enough money for you and the children, don't worry." He left her and did her this favor, as if saying, "I'm still grateful to you, and so you will live without hardships, just as you lived before. You don't need to work, just live as you used to." And so she lived this way for probably about 8 years. And she came to me for a consultation. She said, "I want to get married, but I can't." I started examining her life and found out that she was taking money for all her living expenses from her ex-husband. I asked her, "Who do you think about when you go to sleep, when you fall asleep?" She said, "About my ex-husband." I said, "Maybe you should think about some other man?" She said, "For some reason I can't." Ladies, do you know why? Because money puts a woman in complete dependency on a man, and she can't break free from this dependency by herself. Alimony is a different kind of money. It means that the man was forced and he gave this money for the children, not for her. But if he gives it directly to her saying, "Here, take this, please, this is for you," she takes the money and gives him her dependency. A man depends on his wife's care and a woman depends on her husband's money. Do you see how the system works? Let's explore this topic. Suppose a woman supports herself financially. What kind of money is that? A woman works. Can her husband take this money and spend it on himself? A woman earns money. From an energetic point of view, is this money the same as what a man earns or not? The money a woman earns is called hot money. Men's money is cold money. When a woman earns and a man takes this money for himself, he gets burnt by it. Because a woman will never forgive him for spending it on himself. She will remember it, she will be angry, and she will never forgive him in her life. 10 years may pass, and she will still remember that he lived off her money. Women's money is very dangerous, hot money. It has a hot nature. A woman may only spend it on herself and her children. She will not spend it on her husband. Women's money burns everything around. Men's money blesses everything. If a man gives money, will he remember about it or not? No, he gives it and forgets. But if a woman gives money, will she remember it? She will remember every penny. Now I have a question. You spent money on your children. What happens next? You decrease your love for your children and increase your dependency on them. If you've spent your money on yourself, what happens next? All the things you bought for yourself, they will spoil your character.
I earned it myself.
Yes, by myself. I stopped being dependent. So, if a woman is by herself, she is dressed by herself, she bought an apartment by herself, she bought a car by herself. Will she get married? A man looks at her and his gaze recoils, because a woman can only get married when she is in a dependent state. She feels, I can't do it alone, I need a husband. And then she becomes beautiful, obedient, tender, and from her comes a force that attracts a man. So, a woman earns her own money. What next? Will she get married? She might, but to what kind of man? One who earns nothing, because he will see her as a source of money, not as a woman. Because a woman is a dependent creature. And if she's independent, only dependent men will look at her. The more she earns for herself, if she's not married, the worse the man she'll end up with. But in today's world, a woman can't live without money. In the past, a woman lived with her parents, and then she was married off. If she got divorced, she returned to her parents. Either this or that. She wouldn't live alone. Now everything has changed. But if a woman works just enough to make a living, those earnings are not evil. Or if the family is short on money and the woman also works to supplement the family budget, then those earnings are not evil. It's the money that a woman earns for herself that becomes evil. These earnings bring her suffering later in life because they separate her from her family, and everything she has saved and bought becomes dangerous. This dangerous property might lead her to make a foolish decision at any moment. For example, what psyche does a woman have by nature? It's unstable. She is prone to various foolish actions. And imagine she has her own apartment and a decent salary. Her husband starts acting foolishly. What does she do? She leaves. Don't expect me for dinner. And that's it, goodbye. And who does she hurt more, him or herself? He'll find another woman in 2 months. Will she find someone else in 2 months? No. Is it interesting for you? Now the lecture is over.